Each and All by Ralph Waldo Emerson, 1803 to 1882. Little thinks in the field yon red-cloaked clown of thee from the hilltop looking down, the heifer that lows in the upland farm, far heard, lows not thine ear to charm. The sexton, tolling his bell at noon, deems not that great Napoleon stops his horse and lists with delight, whilst his files sweep round yon Alpine height. Nor knowest thou what argument thy life to thy neighbour's creed has lent. All are needed by each one, nothing is fair or good alone. I thought the sparrow's note from heaven, singing at dawn on the alder bough. I brought him home in his nest at even. He sings the song, but it pleases not now. For I did not bring home the river and sky. He sang to my ear, they sang to my eye. The delicate shells lay on the shore, the bubbles of the latest wave fresh pearls to their enamel gave, and the bellowing of the savage sea greeted their safe escape to me. I wiped away the weeds and foam, I fetched my sea-born treasures home, but the poor, unsightly, noisome things had left their beauty on the shore, with the sun and the sand and the wild uproar. The lover watched his graceful maid, as mid the virgin train she stayed, nor knew her beauty's best attire was woven still by the snow-white choir. At last she came to his hermitage, like the bird from the woodlands to the cage. The gay enchantment was undone, a gentle wife, but fairy none. Then I said, I covet truth, beauty is unripe childhood's cheat, I leave it behind with the games of youth. As I spoke, beneath my feet the ground pine curled its pretty wreath, running over the club moss burrs. I inhaled the violet's breath. Around me stood the oaks and firs, pine cones and acorns lay on the ground. Over me soared the eternal sky, full of light and of deity. Again I saw, again I heard, the rolling river, the morning bird. Beauty through my senses stole. I yielded myself to the perfect whole. Okay, this is a poem by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Let's see, Emerson came from Boston. He went to Harvard University. He was a great transcendentalist. He believed in transcendentalism. Transcendentalism is looking at the world and learning from nature, following your own conscience, following your own feelings, learning from nature and being one with nature. The more you are in tune with nature, the more you are your real self, and that nature is everything. Nature is what we are. We are all part of this natural world. And this poem is talking about the way that we look at the world. You can't just take one element on its own, because something may look beautiful, it may look really beautiful in its element, but you take things out of their element and it is no the beauty is no longer there. You take a bird from the countryside that sings a beautiful song, and you put it in a cage, but now the song is not as beautiful. It's meaningless. So when you remove things from their natural environment, they lose themselves. They lose their essence, and therefore we need to appreciate nature as a whole. We don't need to look at to want to take out and capture the individual elements. We need to look at the world as a whole, as one big element, and this is what we can learn from it. So, little thinks in the field yon red-cloaked clown of thee from the hilltop looking down. Now, to me, this question is, who is this red-cloaked clown? Well, I think the red-cloaked clown is either a farmer or a traveller. But this is, so Emerson, I think Emerson is the speaker, he's looking up and he sees a person with a red cloak on the top of the hill looking down at him. And the person looking down, this person isn't thinking about Emerson, who he can see down there. The heifer that lows. A heifer is a cow. So the heifer that lows in the upland farm, far heard, lows not, thine ear to charm. So the cow is mooing that moos in the upland farm, and you can hear it a long way away, but it's not making this noise for you. It's not trying to charm you. The sexton tolling his bell at noon. The sexton is in the church. He's pulling his bell at noon. Deems not that great Napoleon stops his horse and lists with delight while his files sweep round yon Alpine height. So they said that Napoleon used to like to stop and listen to the bells, because the bells reminded him of pleasant times in his childhood. And this is saying that there's a sexton tolling the bell, but he doesn't think that Napoleon is stopping to listen to the beautiful sound of the bells with delight, while his soldiers sweep round while they capture this Alpine height, but this hill in the Alps. So he's out on manoeuvres with his troops, or he's fighting a war. And the sexton starts ringing the bell, but the sexton doesn't do this because Napoleon's going to listen. Thy life to thy neighbour's creed has lent. So, not knowest thou what argument thy life to thy neighbour's creed has lent. So you don't know how you affect your neighbour's world, but you do. Your existence changes the world of your nature. So you don't know how what you have done changes the beliefs, the life of your neighbour. All are needed by each one. Nothing is fair or good alone. So we are all interdependent. We all depend on each other. That we may not know it, but we all depend on each other. Nothing is beautiful, is fair, or is good on its own. So we all need, everything is interdependent. All things depend on one another to work. So you may not be aware of these things, but they are there. These effects are there. So you may not know what's happening. The sexton might not know that Napoleon is listening to his bells, or the heifer may be mooing, but it's not mooing for you, but that affects you. It affects the whole scene, and everything is part of a part of each other. And this is the idea of transcendentalism, that in nature everything is dependent on everything else, and you need to look at the whole scene. And the whole scene itself, the whole of nature, is God, is what we are, is everything. I thought the sparrow's note from heaven, singing at dawn on the alder bough. So he hears a sparrow singing, and it's singing at dawn on the bough, on the branch of an alder tree, and it's beautiful, it's lovely. I brought him home in his nest at even. So in the evening, I brought the sparrow home. I brought the sparrow and his nest home. He sings the song, and then the sparrow continues to sing. But it pleases not now, for I did not bring home the river and sky. But his song isn't what it was. It isn't as beautiful as it was. It doesn't please me anymore. And the reason for that is I didn't bring the river and the sky with me. Because he's saying that listening to the sparrow singing, this is beautiful, but within its own setting, the whole thing, the whole scene is beautiful. It's not just the sparrow, it's the sky, it's the river, it's all of the things round it, the wind, everything. He sang to my ear, they sang to my eye. So the sparrow, it sang to my ear, but the river and the sky, they sang to my eye. They were beautiful to my eye. And you can't separate the elements. You can't separate the beautiful song from the beautiful river, from the beautiful sky, from the smell of the wind, from the feel of the grass under your feet. The delicate shells lay on the shore. So we've got some beautiful shells lying on the shore by the sea. The bubbles of the latest wave fresh pearls to their enamel gave. So there's been a wave has come up and over and gone, and there are little bubbles on these shells from the last wave that passed. And these are like pearls to the enamel. They make the enamel of the shell beautiful, the covering, the sheen. It makes it really beautiful. And the bellowing of the savage sea greeted their safe escape to me. And I could hear the bellowing, the shouting of the savage sea. And this was this was part of the scene, and that I was going to take them home with me. I wiped away the weeds and foam. I fetched my seaborn treasures home. So I picked up these shells, and I wiped away the weed, and I wiped away the foam, and I took them home. But he's taking them out of their context. Now out of their context, they lose their beauty, they lose their meaning. But the poor, unsightly, noisome things had left their beauty on the shore, with the sun and the sand and the wild uproar. But the problem is that now they were ugly, they were noisome, they were horrible, disgusting things. They'd left their beauty on the shore, with the sand, with the sun and the sand and the sound of the sea. So look at this, with the sun and on the shore with the sun and the sand. Okay, syllabants. So he's taken them out of context, and the shells are no longer beautiful out of context. They're just dry old things. The lover watched his graceful maid, as mid the virgin train she stayed. So there's a lover, and he's watching his girlfriend, this beautiful girl, and she is she's still a virgin. She's still an innocent maid, and he's in love with her. Nor knew her beauty's best attire was woven by the snow-white woven still by the snow-white choir. So he didn't know that the most beautiful thing of her was everything around her, was this a setting around her, the snow-white choir. I think this snow-white choir is echoing her virginity, her innocence, and he's in love with her. She's a fairy. She is the most wonderful thing he's ever seen. But he doesn't understand that this beauty, this feeling about her, this comes from her in her context. At last she came to his hermitage. So I guess they got married, or they became lovers, and she came to his house. Like the bird from the woodlands to the cage. So this is like taking the bird out of nature and putting it in a cage. The gay enchantment was undone. A gentle wife, but fairy none. So the enchanting beauty of this virgin in her natural setting, this was gone. And yeah, she was a good wife, she was a gentle wife, but no longer was she this magic fairy that she had been before they were married, because she has been taken out of context. And you can't remove things from their context and leave them beautiful like this. Then I said, I covet truth. Beauty is unripe childhood's cheat. I leave it behind with the games of youth. So then I said, okay, I'm no longer going to continue to look for beauty. I'm going to look for truth. Because you can't take beauty out of its context. And beauty is a cheat. This is something for children. I'm going to leave beauty behind with the games of childhood. Yeah, truth is something more adult, something more that is more grown up, that is more honest. Because remember, with John Keats, truth is beauty and beauty is truth. And truth is a much better thing to look for. Truth is the basis of beauty. Truth is this thing being in its place. As I spoke beneath my feet, the ground pine curled its pretty wreath. So as I said this, I'm going to leave behind looking for beauty. I'm going to only look for truth. And beneath my feet I could see the ground pine, and it was running over club moss burrs. So he's looking at the land of the ground of the forest. And he can see all of the individual bits of nature joining together, and this is truth. That the truth is everything is part of it. So he's standing on this ground pine, and there's club moss, a type of moss on the ground as well, and he is within this scene. I inhaled the violet's breath. I could smell the violets. Around me stood the oaks and firs, different trees. Pine cones and acorns lay on the ground. Over me soared the eternal sky, full of light and of deity. So he's now letting himself be part of the landscape. He's appreciating all of the different things, the trees, the smell of the violets, the pine cones, the acorns, the sky above him. And all of this is deity. This is all of this. To be part of this, he's part of the deity of nature, the God of nature. Again I saw and again I heard the rolling river, the morning bird. So again, with I'm taking this bird and its nest out of context. I heard the river that goes with it. I heard the bird. Beauty through my senses stole. I yielded myself to the perfect whole. So now he's looking at everything around him as one whole. And this is the idea of transcendentalism, that he's part of this landscape, he's part of this world, and the beauty of everything around him is all interconnected, and it's not just an individual piece that's beautiful, it's the whole thing that is beautiful. So, Ralph Waldo Emerson talking about transcendentalism. Each and All by Ralph Waldo Emerson.